Hello there, I'm Nadia Azmi and this is Nightline. Here are the top stories. Malaysia can maintain subsidised price of RON95 for 2 more months. And 6, including 3 minors, arrested over IS-linked activities and plot to attack security and government sites. Good morning. The government can still maintain the subsidised petrol price of RON95 at RM1.99 per litre for another 1 to 2 months. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, however, warned that the escalating conflict in West Asia could impact the national economy and drive up the cost of living. According to Anwar, the war in West Asia is affecting the global economy, including Malaysia, and could cause further trade disruptions and higher oil prices if it continues.
Setakat ini, seperti mana saya umumkan, kita akan cuba kawal termasuk RON 95 sekadar RM1.99. Tetapi keadaan ini kita pantau kerana setakat ini kita masih boleh bertahan dalam 1-2 bulan. Tetapi petanda-petanda awal tidak begitu baik dan menyenangkan.
Speaking to reporters after Friday prayers in Serdang, Anwar urged the public to be more prudent in their spending and to brace themselves for potential global economic uncertainties arising from the conflict in the Middle East.
Saya tidak mahu pandangan yang selesa, perbelanjaan tidak terkawal, amalan boros dan membazir. Minta tolong jaga daripada sekarang, janganlah kita bila terhentuk baru kita cari batal.
Located between the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman, the Strait of Hormuz is the world's most critical oil choke point, where over 20% of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway. Its closure by Iran has left more than 200 commercial vessels and oil tankers unable to transit the area, forcing many to anchor or reroute. This disruption has pushed up the cost of goods and imports, placing additional burdens on businesses. Meanwhile, Malaysia and Turkey have jointly emphasized that parties involved in the conflict in West Asia must demonstrate the highest levels of self-restraint and wisdom to prevent the situation from escalating further. Anwar said both countries made this commitment during a phone call on Thursday night with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. In a Facebook post, Anwar warned that the recent killings of senior Iranian leaders, including Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, risk plunging West Asia into serious and prolonged instability. Malaysia therefore calls on all parties to de-escalate tensions and halt attacks that could trigger wider regional instability. He stressed that a dialogue and diplomacy-based approach must remain a priority. At the same time, Malaysia expressed solidarity with Turkey after a ballistic missile reportedly headed towards its airspace was intercepted on Wednesday. On developments in Palestine, Anwar expressed appreciation to Turkey and other countries that condemned Israel's decision to expand illegal settlements in the West Bank. The Prime Minister stressed that Malaysia's position is clear, that the actions of the Zionist regime constitute a violation of international law. Intense air attacks pounded Tehran and other Iranian cities on the 7th day of the U.S.-Israel war on the country, amid warnings from U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that the bombardment was about to surge dramatically. Israel's military said Friday it had begun a new broad-scale wave of strikes on Tehran, while the U.S. said its B-2 bombers had dropped dozens of penetrator bombs on deeply buried ballistic missile launchers inside the country. At least 20 people, including civilians, were killed in Iran's southern city of Shiraz, while attacks have also continued to pound Tehran and hit areas in Iran's northwest. Explosions were also reported around the city of Kermanshah, in an area home to multiple missile bases, as well as in the cities of Shiraz and Isfahan. The Israeli military claimed that attacks have already destroyed most of Iran's air defenses and missile launches. Simultaneously, Iranian drones and missiles have continued to target nations across the Gulf, with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and the UAE all reporting interceptions since Thursday night. Meanwhile, the US-Israel war on Iran is estimated to have cost Washington $3.7 billion so far in its first 100 hours alone, or nearly $900 million a day, driven largely by the huge expenditure of munitions. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, or CSIS, said the U.S. had expended more than 2,000 munitions of various types in the first 100 hours of the war, and estimated it would cost $3.1 billion to replenish the munitions inventory on a like-for-like basis, with the costs increasing by $758 million a day. CSIS also revealed that out of the $3.7 billion, only $200 million were already budgeted for, while the remaining were not. This means the Pentagon will likely need to request more funding soon to cover the unbudgeted costs, which is likely to prove a political challenge for the Trump administration and provide a focal point for opposition to the war. Meanwhile, the U.S. House of Representatives has rejected an effort to curb President Trump's authority to wage war against Iran, as he faces fierce criticism over launching the conflict without seeking approval from Congress. Lawmakers voted down a bipartisan resolution led by Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna that would have required Trump to obtain congressional authorization before continuing military operations against Tehran. The measure fell short by 212 votes to 219 a day after the Senate rejected a similar effort, underscoring Congress's limited appetite for confronting the White House in the early days of the conflict. Even if it had passed both chambers, Trump would have been able to veto the legislation.
The president says to me two things very clearly. He says, number one,
Bukit Aman has detained 6 locals, including 3 minors, suspected of involvement in activities linked to the Islamic State or IS. Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Ismail revealed that the group had allegedly planned to attack security and government targets. Khalid said the arrests were carried out during a coordinated operation conducted by the special branch across the Klang Valley, Johor, Kedah and Terengganu between February 14th and 15th. He added that the suspects, aged between 16 and 21, had pledged allegiance to IS and had been engaging in extremist activities, including actively discussing potential attacks via social media, online games and messaging apps such as WhatsApp, Telegram and Discord. The top cop also revealed a worrying finding: early radicalization of teens through digital platforms, including online games popular among children such as Roblox.
Antaranya mereka ni terlalu terdedah dengan apa-apa juga isu yang ada di dalam media sosial. Kemudian ketaksupan mereka bermain game yang kadang-kala mendorong mereka merasakan bahawa perlu melakukan serangan, peperangan dan sebagainya.
During the raids, authorities seized 11 mobile phones, 2 laptop computers and an external hard drive, as well as flags and a shirt bearing the IS logo and 3 books containing extremist-related material. Those detained are being investigated under the Penal Code for terrorism-related offences in accordance with procedures and provisions under the Security Offences Special Measures Act or SOSMA. They are expected to be charged in court next week. The Prime Minister has refuted claims by the Coalition for Clean and Fair Elections or BERSE, alleging that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission had become a political tool of the government. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim described the criticism as unfair and urged all parties to await the findings of the Special Investigation Committee probing MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki's shareholding allegations before making any accusations. Speaking to reporters after attending the Iyah Ramadan program with the Public Service Department in Putrajaya on Friday, Anwar said a committee had already been formed and expressed confidence in the Attorney General's handling of the matter.
Nak buat tuduhan, tengoklah laporan dulu, ya, bagi jawapan. Kalau tidak, kalau pakai sergah begitu saja, saya tidak pertahankan, tapi saya kata kita dah buat jatuh kuasa. Saya percaya kepada peguam negara. Ya, bagi laporan. Ini belum bermal laporan, kita tuduh kena ikut selera politik.
He said all parties had the right to criticize anyone, including Azam, but criticism should be applied consistently.
Yang puluh-puluh bilion yang dicuri selama ini, mengapa tak ada suara?
Previously, Bersih issued a statement condemning the MACC, claiming the commission had strayed from its anti-corruption mandate and was being used for political intimidation. Last Tuesday, Anwar informed the Dewan Rakyat that the Special Investigation Committee's report is expected to be completed this week. In a separate development, the MACC has helped dismantle global cybercrime data leak forum known as Leakbase. The operation, coordinated by Europol, involved law enforcement agencies from 14 countries, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI), the United Kingdom's National Crime Agency, and the Australian Federal Police. The MACC's Special Operations Division executed a search warrant at a web hosting solutions company in Kuala Lumpur as part of the joint international operation. Cyber forensic examinations confirmed the Leakbase forum was actively operating through servers hosted at the facility, leading to the seizure of digital evidence and the shutdown of the domain. Authorities said the platform had more than 142,000 registered members and over 215,000 messages, including large archives of compromised databases from numerous high-profile cyber breaches. MACC said its participation in the operation reflected Malaysia's continued commitment to strengthening international law enforcement cooperation in combating cybercrime. The platform, active since 2021, operated as an online marketplace for stolen data, including credit and debit card details, banking information, usernames and passwords. Chief Secretary to the Government Tan Sri Shamsul Azri Abu Bakar has announced a series of changes involving senior officials across several ministries and departments. The changes are part of ongoing public sector reforms aimed at enhancing the effectiveness of the civil service in executing government policies. Among those reassigned is Customs Director General Dato' Anis Rizana Muhammad Zainuddin, who has been appointed Secretary General of the Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Ministry. Anis was appointed to the post in September 2023, becoming the first woman to lead the Customs Department. She will be replaced by current Deputy Secretary General of the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry, Dato' Amran Ahmad. Other changes announced in a statement on Friday include Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry Secretary General Datuk Sri Hasnul Zamzam Ahmad, who will assume the same role at the Health Ministry. His post will be taken over by Datuk K. Nagulendran, current Youth and Sports Ministry Secretary General, who will in turn be replaced by Perlis State Secretary Datuk Rahimi Ismail. Datuk Nur Azman Abdul Rahman, currently Secretary of the Health Ministry's Human Resources Division, will succeed Rahimi as Perlis State Secretary. All changes will take effect on Monday. Heavy rain and strong winds lashed Ipoh Perak for nearly an hour on Friday afternoon, tearing through a Ramadan bazaar at Centra Mall in Klebang. Traders were preparing to open their stalls for the evening rush when the storm suddenly struck around 4 p.m., causing tents to collapse and damaging several stalls. Strong winds were also reported in several parts of the Kinta district, with authorities receiving reports of at least 19 fallen trees. In Taman Bersatu near Simpang Pulai, 2 trees had reportedly fallen on and crushed 3 cars. Fortunately, all 6 people in the vehicles in their 20s and 50s escaped unhurt and were rescued by members of the public before firefighters arrived. Malaysia recorded 426.7 billion ringgit in approved investments in 2025, the highest in its history, marking the 3rd consecutive year the country has achieved a record figure. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the total represents an 11% increase from 384.4 billion ringgit in 2024. According to Anwar, a total of 8,390 projects were approved nationwide, with the potential to generate nearly 245,000 job opportunities for Malaysians. He said the achievement is more than just numbers, but proof of the world's confidence in Malaysia and the reform agenda implemented by the Madani government. Meanwhile, the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry reported that domestic investment remains strong at 219 billion ringgit, accounting for 51.5% of the total approved investments last year. Foreign investment, on the other hand, surged 20.9% to 207 billion ringgit.
I think Malaysia's investment environment continues to attract very quality investment. So I think overall, Malaysia is on the right track, macroeconomic-wise, investment environment.
The services sector received the largest share of approved investments at 281.3 billion ringgit, driven by the information and communication subsector, while the manufacturing sector accounted for 131.3 billion ringgit. Singapore and China were the largest investors in 2025, each contributing 58 billion ringgit, followed by the United States, Japan and Hong Kong. This demonstrates Malaysia's success in gaining the confidence of investors from both the East and West.
What's setting Tune Protect apart in the industry through its 2025 growth drivers? What did these financial and operational highlights signal for the future of Tune Protect? How will Tune Protect's strategic priorities redefine its role in a changing market? Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah speaks with Tune Protect Group Chief Executive Officer Hao Kim Lian. Only on Money Matters, this Saturday at 4:57 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Bank Negara Malaysia's international reserves rose by $400 million or 1.58 billion ringgit to 128.3 billion as of February 27th. According to an update released by the central bank on Friday, this is Malaysia's strongest reserves position since 2014, surpassing the previous high of $127.9 billion recorded on February 13th. Bank Negara also noted that the reserves are sufficient to finance 4.7 months of imports of goods and services and cover 0.9 times the country's short-term external debt. Among the components, foreign currency reserves increased to $112.5 billion, up from $112 billion previously. Malaysia's reserve position with the International Monetary Fund remained unchanged at $1.3 billion, while special drawing rights stood at $6 billion. Ganja worth more than 4 million ringgit discovered along beachfront. This and more after this breather.
Saya menjalankan servis perkhidmatan peneman ibu, ayah ataupun warga emas ke hospital. Tanggungjawab mak ayah kan anak-anak. Tapi kena ingat satu perkara, tak semua orang ada kelapangan masa. Kuih koci ni jarang-jaranglah orang nak buat lagi. Memang kegemaran rakyat Malaysia. Dia orang memang suka makan. Termasuk mak ayah kita, nenek kita memang suka makan kuih koci.
Jom 30 hari, 30 level up iman. Tingkatkan pahala, kurangkan mengata. Let's go! Buat apa tanya AI kalau boleh, tanyalah Ustaz.
Akan ada pertolongan daripada kedua-dua amalan.
Jangan pendam sendiri, share je di Jurnal Muslim.
Mengapa kita menafikan?
Chill lepak moreh with Sembang Sahur.
Kurma dan air zam-zam. Tahan sampai pukul 2.30.
Sama-sama Ramadan, sama-sama berkat di TV3.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headline.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Baca doa dulu. Allah Akbar, lupa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatika. Ya Allah, bukakanlah pintu-pintu rahmat-Mu untuk kami. Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Lagi satu jangan lupa, kita kena niat iktikaf dulu. Okey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nawaitu li'iktikaf fil hazal masjid lillahi ta'ala. Sahaja aku beriktikaf dalam masjid ni kerana Allah Ta'ala. Baru boleh masuk. Ini tak lupa. Jom.
Sorry lah.
Welcome back. The Police Customs Department has seized over 136 kilograms of ganja valued at 4.18 million ringgit. The drugs were discovered abandoned by a smuggling syndicate along the beachfront during a raid at Pantai Ruat in Yanada on February 22nd. Police Customs Director Ismail Hashim said following a tip-off, a team raided the location at 12:30 p.m. and uncovered suspicious black plastic packages left in the area. Upon closer inspection, officers found 90 packages of dried plants suspected to be ganja flowers, along with 79 compressed blocks of ganja. It is understood that the drugs were smuggled from a neighbouring country and intended for the Klang Valley market. The illegal substances are believed to have been left along the coast for syndicate members to collect in an effort to evade detection by the authorities. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. In Selangor, 3 men pleaded not guilty at the Klang Magistrates Court to charges linked to a brawl at the Meru Police Station on Monday. 38-year-old B. Kalirasan, 44-year-old A. Magindran and P. Gopinath, age 39, entered their pleas before Magistrate Nur Azil Ahmad. The 2 lorry drivers and a lorry attendant are accused of disorderly conduct by getting into a fight at the police station at about 9:47 p.m. on March 2nd. The trio also claimed trial to a charge of voluntarily causing hurt to a 29-year-old man using a helmet and an iron rod. Kalirasan faces an additional charge of mischief for damaging a television at the station. Meanwhile, Gopinath is also accused of criminal intimidation against a 24-year-old man. If convicted, the accused faces penalties of up to 10 years imprisonment, a fine or whipping upon conviction. Police said the incident is believed to have stemmed from a dispute over security control at a housing site. The court set bail at 13,000 ringgit for Kalirasan and Gopinath and 9,000 ringgit for Magindran. The case has been fixed for mention on May 25th. In Johor, a woman believed to be the wife of a robbery victim pleaded guilty in the Johor Bahru Sessions Court to conspiring in a 500,000 ringgit gang robbery last month. The accused, Shamim Begum Abdul Said, age 53, admitted to the charge before Judge Datuk Chewan Zaidi Chewan Ibrahim. However, her alleged accomplice, Muhammad Rashid Ismail, aged 30, who is partially paralysed and uses a wheelchair, pleaded not guilty. The 2 are accused of conspiring to rob a Pakistani businessman at a parking area behind a bank in Pasir Gudang on February 24th. The offence under the Penal Code carries a maximum 20-year jail term and a fine upon conviction. The court allowed bail of 12,000 ringgit with 1 surety each and ordered both accused to report to a police station monthly. The case is set for remention on April 8th. Nome out, Trump picks Mullen as Homeland Security Secretary. The details when Nightline returns.
Dia macam main elastik ni, kita nak gayakan macam mana kita elastik. Bila kita tenang, okey kita boleh in target lah.
Memang seronok lah. Masa kecil-kecil, tak ada permainan lain dah. Melainkan biji getah.
Ni lah, kecubung jeli original.
Batu kecubung jeli ni terkenal sampai ke luar negara dah.
Satu hari kita rakyat akan dapat dalam 7,000 biji.
Musiklah jiwa dia.
Impian saya boleh rekod, orang ramai boleh dengar.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headline.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Suami aku meninggal pada tahun 2015. Meninggal sebabkan sakit dalam perut, sakit usus lah. Dalam proses rawatan tu lah dia pergi. Waktu tu anak-anak masih kecil dan anak-anak masih tak faham apa itu kehilangan seorang ayah kan.
Dia tak rasa sangat waktu tu. Sebab tak tahu apa yang terjadi betul-betul. Lepas tu, lepas pada tu, apa rasa mana ayah pergi bawah rumah kan. Rasa sunyi ya.
Hai kawan-kawan pernah tak rasa tak selesa bila ada orang cuba sentuh badan kita? Kawan-kawan ingat tahu badan kita ni milik kita. Kalau ada orang sentuh tanpa izin, korang cakap tidak. Lepas tu korang bagi tahu ibu bapa ataupun cikgu ataupun kakak dan abang, okey?
Betul tu. Ingat, tak ada orang yang boleh buat kita rasa takut dan tak selesa. Kita berhak rasa selamat dan dilindungi.
Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that he will replace Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem with Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin. In a social media post on Thursday, Trump said he had reassigned Noem to a special envoy for a new security initiative dubbed the Shield of the Americas. The staffing change will take effect from March 31st. It marks the first major cabinet-level shakeup of Trump's second term so far. Noem has played a prominent role in some of the administration's most controversial immigration policies, and her tenure at the Homeland Security Department has spurred questions about government spending and conflicts of interest. A 3-year-old party led by rapper-turned-politician Balendra Shah looked set to sweep Nepal's polls on Friday, trouncing established rivals in a result analysts likened to a tsunami. The Election Commission said 35-year-old Shah and his Rashtriya Swatantra Party were on course to win a majority in the 275-member lower house of parliament, leading in 100 of the 137 seats. Vote counting is still underway for 165 seats filled by direct election in the 275-member lower house, while the rest will be decided through proportional representation. Balendra Shah, the former mayor of Kathmandu, has dominated the race to become prime minister, gaining near rock star-like fame on social media across the Himalayan nation after a youth-led uprising. New Zealand's ruling National Party has dropped sharply in a new opinion poll released on Friday, raising pressure on Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, who is no longer voted as preferred leader. The monthly Taxpayers Union Courier poll shows that support for the National Party dropped 2.9 points to 28.4%, exposing the centre-right bloc to strong competition from the opposition Labour Party, which stands at around 34.4%. Luxon, however, ruled out resigning, saying he still has the full backing of his party and remains focused on improving the economy ahead of the November 2026 election. Luxon and his coalition government has lost popularity over the past year due to the weakening economy and rising unemployment. Some items on sports now. The Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, considers the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS, decision involving 7 national players as disproportionate. The national football governing body, however, stressed that it respects the jurisdiction of the world's highest sports tribunal. FAM, in a statement on Friday, confirmed it has received the operative part of the CAS decision regarding appeals filed by both the association and the 7 players. The statement said the FAM is of the view that the sanctions imposed appear disproportionate, especially when compared to penalties in similar cases previously decided by the tribunal. It added that the FAM will evaluate the matter further once the full grounds of the decision are obtained, and further comments on the merits of the ruling will only be made after the complete details have been thoroughly scrutinized. The association also described the decision as disappointing, particularly for the players involved. The CAS on Thursday partially upheld the appeals of the 7 Harimau Malaya heritage players against FIFA sanctions for the falsification of naturalization and eligibility documents. And for our final item, badminton, the All England Championships. A bittersweet end to the 4th day of matches as world number 2 men's doubles pair Aaron Chia So Wee Yik secured a spot in the semi-finals at the expense of compatriots Man Wei Chong Ti Kai Woon. Fresh from their quarter-final victory over another national pair, Arif Junaidi and Yap Roy King, the 2022 world champions faced stiff resistance from the fellow Malaysians. The two-time Olympic bronze medalists were pushed to 3 sets before eventually sealing the match in the decider, winning 21-16, 2022, 21-14. The victory sets up a semi-final clash against China's duo of Chen Po Yang and Liu Yi, who eliminated Malaysian pair Kang Kai Shing and Aaron Tai in the round of 16. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, here's a look at Britain's biggest and most famous dog show, featuring thousands of pooches from all sizes and personalities. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for watching and selamat bersahur.